Yes. Welcome to another episode of Carrot Juice. I am your host, Monte Lee. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this program. I appreciate everyone who's been listening, checking in, and having a good time with this content. I've enjoyed making it, I've enjoyed producing it, and I hope that you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. So, with that being said, we got a little bit of housekeeping here, and then we'll get right into the program. Okay, just make sure my levels are good. All right, cool. So, first thing I want to say, if you're watching the content right now on YouTube, make sure that you drop a like, you subscribe. All the support that you guys show over there is greatly appreciated. I'm trying my best to streamline the program. I just picked up a new camera. I'm shooting this video right here with the Lumix S5, and we'll see how it turns out. From what I'm seeing from the monitor right now, it's looking pretty nice, but we'll see. So without further ado, we'll get into it. Let me just adjust my mic real quick. Cool. Okay, so before I get started, I want to give a big, huge shout out to Gator and Your Shower Door for supporting the program. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. Keep listening. It's a vibe. All right. So, and right on to music lovers everywhere. I recently picked up some vinyls. I was listening to some Elton John greatest hits earlier, as well as Kendrick Damn on the vinyl. So I'm going to post some content about my vinyls and the music that I'm listening to at some point as well. So stay tuned for that on social media. Okay, so let's get into the first topic of this episode. The first thing I wanted to talk about what's been going on with Kwame Brown. Yes, that Kwame Brown. Shout out to KwameBrownBustLife. I am going to link his YouTube channel in the description here, and I'll put it in the podcast show notes. Kwame Brown has had quite the past 2 weeks, to say the least. If you don't know who Kwame Brown is, he is a center who was drafted by Michael Jordan, I believe, was it back in like 2003, I believe. And he was widely touted coming out of high school. And oh no, it wasn't 2003. It's actually 2001. But he was widely touted out of high school, and he was drafted by Michael Jordan. And a long story short, he didn't end up being what he was panned out to be, as being a high school player and a number one draft pick. However, he did play 12 years in the NBA, and there's a lot of people that could say that they did that. So people need to put some respect on Mr. Brown's name, and he is taking names and making sure that he tells everybody that, yeah, I'm not having it, and you guys better put some respect on my name, because it's been too long, pretty much. Like, he's pretty much coming out, gloves off, and saying, hey, you guys been talking about me for years, and I'm not having it anymore, and I respect it. So an article that I'm referring to was posted by the New York Post, and the title is NBA Bust Kwame Brown Goes After Critics in Multiple Social Media Feuds. So if you haven't been following what's surfaced within the past 2 weeks, we're going to go into that. So Kwame Brown hasn't been seen on the NBA hardwood since early 2013, but the first overall pick in the 2001 draft has resurfaced in recent days, responding to criticism from podcasters, media members, and ex-teammates. The article goes on to break down some of the feuds that he's had. So if you don't know who Kwame Brown is, I kind of went into that a little bit. He was drafted number 1 overall by Michael Jordan's Wizards in 2001. He struggled to live up to the hype, and eventually he actually played with Kobe Bryant in a post-Shaquille O'Neal era, and he went from Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant. That is saying a lot about this guy's trajectory in the NBA. Those are 2 of the toughest teammates to have because they're going to push you. They're going to test you. They're not going to let you cut any corners. And being a high school kid coming out and the first person that you're looking at is one of the most competitive and driven players in the history of sports, that had to be tough for him. So the article went on to say what set Brown off. So Kwame Brown's social media resurgence was sparked by recent episodes of the AllTheSmoke podcast, hosted by retired NBA players MattBarnes and StephenJackson. Jackson and Brown were teammates on the Bobcats, the Charlotte Bobcats, in the 2010-2011 season. So on an episode of, shout out to AllTheSmoke, by the way, too. I like what they do. They have good content, but they sparked something crazy with their most recent episode, to say the least. So in a recent episode with Lakers owner Jeannie Buss, Jackson made a comment shading Brown's basketball skills while discussing the Gasol trade. A few weeks later, former NBA star Gilbert Arenas appeared on the podcast and called Brown a show pony whose confidence was crushed by Michael Jordan's tough treatment while he played for the Wizards from 2001 to 2005 and in turn observed that. Arenas also noted that when he got to the Wizards in 2003, he didn't have time to F with Brown because he was making more money than Brown, and the Wizards were technically his team at that time. That was Gilbert Arenas speaking. So after those pods were published and that content was put out, Kwame Brown hears about it. And then I hadn't heard about Kwame Brown or heard from Kwame Brown in the longest time, and he was not having any of it. So 2 days after the Arenas episode aired, Kwame took to social media to set the record straight about his career and Arenas' comments. He shared a number of Instagram videos warning his followers that he was crafting a response to MattBarnes and StephenJackson. Kwame followed up with an hour-long YouTube video in which he addressed Barnes, Jackson, Smith, and more critics who've spoken negatively about him through the years. So, like I said before, shout out to KwameBrownBustLife. I am going to link that to this description. I want to make sure that he gets all the, credit for this. I'm not just trying to mooch off of his name or whatever. I just find this whole thing interesting. And it's almost like seeing the person that was bullied for years finally stand up to his bullies. And I think there's a lesson to be learned here. So Kwame went on to slam MattBarnes and StephenJackson in various social media posts, repeatedly calling Barnes Becky with the good hair and Jackson a fake Black Lives Matter activist, among other things. So most of Kwame's responses were filled with cursing, insults, and an accusation that Gilbert Arenas took millions from him via their contracts while they played together in Washington. That is a sharp and stark allegation there. He's saying Gilbert Arenas stole from him? Wow. I didn't even know about that he had mentioned that. There's so much that he said. I'm not going to lie. I haven't been able to watch every single video because he posts like multiple videos every day since this. And so I've seen some of the highlights of this thing, but wow. So he also went on to talk about some of the other social media pundits that have been talking about him over the years. He calls Stephen a bald forehead. And Kwame goes on to say, you think you're tough talking about, oh, they can come see me. Well, meet me in Seattle where you can have mutual combat. It'll look like you have a toupee. It'll look like you had a toupee on the front of your head. What is Kwame doing? So I always say you could be mean if you're funny. And this dude, Kwame, is pretty charismatic with the, jive. So you could be mean if you're funny. I always say that. So in additional videos, Kwame goes on to address criticism from Undisputed co-host Skip Bayless. Kwame's most recent target in his war of words also include Jamel Hill, who has a history of going back and forth with people on social media. So long story short, this feud has been going on for about 2 weeks now. So StephenJackson responded, and Jackson stated, everybody in the world has joked on your basketball skills, bro. So be mad at yourself. Don't make it personal. He went on to add, but we not going to put you on. You had your opportunity when you was the number 1 draft pick and laid an egg. Jackson in part added, when I see you, I don't got no hard feelings. I don't got no problem with you. Let's just keep the respect there as men. MattBarnes, he also responded to address Kwame in a video he has since deleted. And MattBarnes said, bro, you've been getting made fun of since you got in the league for not living up to expectations. Calling Brown's social media actions a cry for help and attention. Barnes went on to say, I tapped Jack's knee when something was said. So if that's what you got, you mad me tapping somebody's knee? You need a hug, bro? If you want to be mad at anyone, be mad at MJ for believing in you and picking you number 1. So Barnes later invited Brown to come on the AllTheSmoke podcast to talk the crap out face to face, and even offered to travel to Atlanta to accommodate Kwame. Kwame responded to MattBarnes in a video turning down his podcast invitation, though he proposed stepping into the ring with Barnes. So we got a Jake Paul, Logan Paul type. What's up with all these celebrities wanting to fight nowadays like they're prize fighters? Man, I'm not trying to see Kwame Brown and MattBarnes in a ring fighting. Are we serious? So, yeah, this story is insane. And it even gets more dark with what occurred with Charlemagne. Charlemagne the God. I'm not going to reiterate what he said. It's out there already, but he went a little far when addressing this situation. And I've been a fan of Charlemagne the God for the longest time. I read his book, Black Privilege, and his delivery when it comes to speaking and being an orator and being a personality in the audio space is something that I've commended and looked up to. But I said when he spoke about Kwame Brown's family, which I won't repeat, that it was not cool and it was wrong. And thankfully, Charlemagne came out and apologized and actually gave himself Donkey of the Day. And I'll link that into the show notes as well. He gave himself Donkey of the Day for doing that and bringing that up to Kwame. So I commended him for doing that. At the end of the day, I don't want to see any violence out of this situation. I just thought it was funny. And it was good to see the person that's been bullied for so long finally stand up for himself and to, get some get back, because he's been bullied and talked about and ridiculed for the longest time. So, yeah. So with that being said, we are going to move on. Okay. All right. So the second topic that I wanted to get into was, what is the deal with all of these celebrity men having these relationships, these relations with Larsa Pippen? If you don't know who Larsa Pippen is, she was married to Scottie Pippen, and then they got divorced, and it's rumored that that was due to infidelity. But I don't know if you've heard this story, but around last year this time, another NBA player, Malik Beasley, was found to be being unfaithful to his significant other with Larsa Pippen. And there was a article via TMZ that stated that the NBA's The NBA's Malik Beasley apologizes to his wife and son for fleeing with Larsa Pippen. So Montana Yao, I guess that's the name of his significant other. That's a unique name. Yao. Montana for a female's name? Really? That's interesting. So Montana Yao has responded to Malik Beasley, saying she appreciates the apology and considers it a step forward in their healing. So she went on to say that Makai and I do appreciate Malik's apology. She said on Instagram, "It's hard to own up to bad decisions and apologize, especially publicly, so it is really appreciated." So Malik Beasley, I will add, is 24 years old, and he was seen back in November out in Miami with 46-year-old Larsa Pippen. I mean, I'm not ageist or anything, but what is a 24-year-old dude got in common with a 46-year-old lady romantically? That just seems odd, doesn't it? That just doesn't seem like a pairing that should, mesh. So yeah, it's just strange. So it's a picture. I'm going to post this article. It's a picture of them in an airport back in the holiday season of 2020, holding hands in an airport. So Malik's wife at the time, Montana, filed for divorce in September. And I believe that divorce went through. But it seems like they're attempting to reconcile. So I hope they get back together and don't let that, ruin what they had going. Because, man, Larsa Pippen, I'll say this. Larsa Pippen is, in the dictionary, if you look in the dictionary, she's the definition of a home wrecker. Like, she's wrecked more homes than Hurricane Katrina. And that's being light on it for sure. So, yeah. Whew. There's a lot there. All you celebrities, all you high value guys, hit squad guys, Henry guys, y'all need to watch your back. I just don't get the whole Larsa Pippen thing. Like, I know that she was friends with Kim Kardashian, but I wouldn't want to touch any of those Kardashians with a 10-foot pole. So, be careful who you're around. Be mindful. There's things more important than fame and clout. And if you got somebody that actually cares about you, you should value that. That would be my advice to some up and coming whippersnappers out here. So, yeah. With that being said, we have one more message from the sponsor, and then we will wrap up the show. So lastly, I wanted to get into one of the recurring segments that I think I'm going to keep on the program moving forward. This week in Things I Wish I Knew When I Was 17. So when I was 17, I had a girlfriend my senior year in high school, and that relationship ended before I went to college. And it wasn't a bad breakup or anything. I won't go into all of the specific details, but it was pretty much, young people in high school, didn't work out. And looking back on that relationship and my mind state going into college, I would have told myself to not pursue women going into college in any type of serious manner. At that point in time, you're developing rapidly and you're not quite sure who you're going to become. So I feel like that at that point in time, women and relationships are a distraction and could lead you astray and curtail your ability to grow and become who you are ultimately meant to be. So me, in my situation, I was fortunate because I went to a small Christian college, and it had like under 400 people. So I went to a really small college, and I didn't really have the ability to date and to commingle like that because the opportunities just really weren't there. And I am very fortunate of that. And I'm glad that that was the case, but it kept me grounded and it kept me focused on the things that really mattered when I was in college, such as school, actually learning. There were no parties. There was none of that. So I'm very grateful and fortunate for that. I also had sports. I played basketball in college for 4 years, and I am so thankful. I would recommend any young person, if they are athletically inclined at all, to play a sport. It's great for building camaraderie. It's great for learning about adversity and challenges and not taking shortcuts and cutting corners, and also how to trust in other people, how to communicate, how to lead. All of those things come from playing sports, and you learn some lessons through those sports that are going to only aid you when you get out into the real world, when you get into life, and when you get in situations where, life hits you. How do you respond to that? And I feel like college and that experience weathered me for that. So things I wish I knew when I was 17: don't focus on girls. If you are on your purpose and you do the things that you need to do to develop as a man and as a human being, that will come in due time. Play a sport if you have a chance, if you're athletically inclined. And also, don't be in a rush to get out of college. Really enjoy that experience, because learning and speaking to people who have different viewpoints than you do is a very important part of growth and development. I feel like that gets overlooked. You don't want to be around people who only believe what you believe, or only think what you think, because at the end of the day, that's just an echo chamber, and that's not what we want in the society. So I was grateful and thankful for the conversations I got to have in college with people that thought differently than me. There were some people who were homeschooled. There were some people who were very religious. There were some people that were from the inner city. I was one of those people that were from the inner city. And yes, I knew about God, and I knew about, and I grew up Baptist, but some of the conversations and stuff that I had in college helped to shape my worldview in a way that I believe has guided me a lot through my journey in life. And now I would say I'm not a very religious person, but I do know God. So, yeah, discipline, adversity, and competition will only help you. And moving forward, that's some advice I would give to myself when I was 17. So that's been another episode of Karat Juice. I hope that you're enjoying the content. I'm enjoying bringing it to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Today's Tuesday. There's going to be some great basketball coming up in the NBA, and I'm excited to watch that. My Lakers have to get it together because they were kind of struggling out there in Phoenix, but we'll be all right. So without further ado, love someone, hug someone, eat something good, do something great or kind for somebody else not expecting anything in return. And I will speak to you guys next time. Peace.